Hey everyone, it's Brandy and welcome back to my channel. It has been a really long time, but as long as this video goes up, I am attempting to make my return to this channel. So bear with me because this is essentially going to be like an update and what I am planning on for this channel moving forward. So yeah, let's just get into it. I do want to apologize if my voice starts going out. I've already filmed another video and I just tried to start this one, but I was rambling on and not using the notes that I made so that I am not off topic. So I decided to just start over, fresh start, so that I can do this as concisely as possible. So this video isn't too long, because if you guys have been here before, you know that I can talk. Let's talk about the first obvious thing, as long as everything goes according to plan. But as of right now, I have decided to change my YouTube name for this channel. Instead of my first and middle name being part of it, I decided to just take out my middle name and just go to Brandy's Bookshelf. Not as much of a mouthful, super easy to remember, don't have to worry about spelling. I'm rambling already. Let's move on. It's been over 2 years, I think. Not quite 3, but over like 2 years at least since the last video that it shows that I posted. I think I did mention this to you guys during the either the last video I posted or one of the last videos I had posted then, that I was planning on taking a break. I was getting super overwhelmed with a lot of different things. I think because I was comparing myself a lot to other booktubers that I had watched when I started, and seeing how much they had grown, and that I felt like it took me, first of all, it took a really long time for me to get to where I am now, but once I got to that point, I felt like it was just stagnant again, and I was taking it really hard, and I was like trying to figure out like what was it that I was doing or wasn't doing that was stopping me from growing. And then that led into me not enjoying reading, not enjoying making content, and it just like kind of ruined my entire experience and the whole reason for me even joining. Also, I realized like what I was trying to accomplish, mainly to try to get to maybe not the same level as other creators that I have been watching, but like a higher level than what I would like. I was just like, if I can just get maybe like 1,000 more subscribers, I would be happy. And like I was starting to focus on the numbers, even though I kept trying to tell myself that I wasn't. I was, and it became really hard, and it like affected other things. So at that point, I decided I needed to take a break, and I did. And I had every intention on coming back within the next couple weeks to couple months. But then things started going crazy in my personal life again. Honestly, if we're like really looking at it, things have been crazy in my personal life since early 2020, when I had first took that really long break. And it's like still kind of crazy. It's like it's one thing after another, it seems like I've been going through, and every time I will like start to be like, okay, things are calming down, everything's gonna be fine, something else different happens. When I was planning on coming back, it ended up happening that I was unable. Honestly, if we're being like super truthful, I probably still could have made it work, but I just did not feel comfortable in where I was to try to like make the content when I was actually in the mood to. When I was able to, I should say, again, I was no longer in the mood to. I wasn't reading. It got to the point where I honestly thought that I was done with YouTube, or at least with this channel. I actually had tried to come back multiple times. So before I get into that, I have actually moved, which you could probably kind of tell maybe from my background. As you can see, I have more books behind me, and this is going to be a mix of like 2 different topics that I wanted to touch on, but I have moved, and I now have all of my books again. Like prior to that first long break that I took, like I'm calling it the pre-COVID break, or the COVID break, I should say. I had all my books from the pre-COVID break, and then all the books that I had gotten since then. I will say briefly that during that move, there was like a box of books that I had. I think they were like kind of like my currently reading, or the closest to the currently reading, or like TBR I had at the time. Those books have gone missing. I'm kind of thinking it's a loss at this point. I'm still like secretly hoping that they will reappear. So I was excited. I was just like, I can do all these things that I've been talking about doing for years because I have all my books back. And I tried 2 to 3 times. I can't remember exactly how many. My heart wasn't in it. I wasn't enjoying it. And I was just like, if I'm going to be coming back, you guys should like feel that I'm actually happy to be here. So I decided to scrap those videos. I actually just deleted the last of the footage that I had filmed the last time I tried to come back, before starting this today. And I guess moving into why now is the right time. There's a couple things. One, I am slowly getting back into reading, even though it is still heavily focused on audiobooks, and trying to refine my love for reading again. I'm just taking my time, enjoying the story, and seeing where it goes. And that's where I currently am. The other reason why I feel like now is the best time. So just a little bit of backstory, and I'm not gonna get into all the details because it could be super annoying, but I am currently unemployed. With this move, I was supposed to be working, and some things happened, and I ended up being told that I could no longer stay at the job because of the move. It's been a whole thing, but because of that and not being able to get a job, which once again, don't want to get into all of the details of that because it's been very stressful, and I don't need to have a mental breakdown trying to come back to YouTube, I wouldn't post it if I did. But I was talking to God. This is going to be a little weird because I've never like opened up about any religious beliefs or anything like that. But that's probably because I wasn't like strongly in a specific religion. Like, I was one of those people, I believed in God, but never took it any further than that because I grew up in a family where we didn't really talk about these things. We still honestly don't. And the only time I was like going to church was when I would go stay at a family friend's house. But during this time, especially like the past like year and a half almost now, I've been dealing with a lot because of that. And I decided to like seek out God to not only build a relationship with him, but like get guidance on like what the heck am I supposed to be doing, because the way that certain things have not worked out, it's like it doesn't make sense. Like, it wasn't making sense to me, and honestly it still doesn't make sense to me. So I was like, I need help. What am I supposed to be doing outside of like, well, at first it was just like, help me. Then that evolved into like, what am I supposed to be doing? Like, what do you want me to do? There's a reason why you're keeping me from doing things that everyone else is like, you need to be doing this. And I got to the point where I asked, like, help me find a way to be able to have some sort of income, or like, what is it that you want me to be doing in the meantime where XYZ is not working out for me. And one day I was journaling. It's something that I feel like, especially lately, I've been super consistent with. And it's something that I've always wanted to be consistent with. But I'm like, I'm always trying to do so much and I don't have time. And that's probably part of the reason that I feel like I'm here where I'm at now. I don't want to get into everything, just in case there are some people who don't want to hear about me talking about God, but I feel like it is important to bring it up. This particular day, I was literally in bed, like I need to just write some things down, and I was just like, I need to figure out something to do. I can't get a job. I've been trying. I need help. I don't know what to do. Every now and then I would go and talk to my mom about, I really want to go back to this channel, but I don't feel it's right. But I think I was talking to her and I was just like, you know what? It's been all of this time, and I think it's time for me to give up this channel. Like, I think it's time to just let the idea go. So I was like fully set on not returning to this channel. People disappear from YouTube all the time. So I was just like, it'll be fine. You know, it's been so many years, people probably forgot about me anyway. I don't need to post. And the crazy thing about it is, not long after I was thinking that, Tia, if you're here and watching this, I don't know if you're going to show up. She actually tagged me on a post on Instagram, like, what are you currently reading? And I didn't share anything because I was like, I'm not reading right now, like nothing. But it was almost like a, no, there are people out there who haven't forgotten about you. But once again, off topic, but I was writing down, like, I need a way to make money. Like, I need some sort of income. I wasn't thinking about social media at all, but I was like, I need some sort of income so that I can help pay the bills. I can help with, I have cats now. I was like, I can help at the very least get their necessities. So that's one less thing that my mom has to worry about, because this is the first time since I've been an adult that I have not helped out with the bills. I haven't been able to pay anything lately. So I was just like, I need something to make some sort of income. And all of a sudden, as I'm journaling, I literally got a super detailed, like, this is what you can do, this is what you can do. And like I said, I had already given up on this channel, so I was writing it down like, oh yeah, that's a good idea, that's a good idea, that, you know, I was super excited about it. And this is honestly like a couple months ago. And I remember like having all these ideas, like in my head, I can picture what it would look like with me doing the ideas that I was receiving. And at the time, I just was like, oh, randomly I came up with all of these ideas. Now I understand God was giving me what I was asking for. When I first started writing, I was like, oh, I have 3 things. But the more I wrote, the more I had, you know, details on exactly how I wanted to go, or how I could go about this that would work for me but wouldn't be too overwhelming. I'm gonna share everything just because I feel like it might be important for someone else to hear. I'm learning that sometimes things happen to you so that you can share it with someone else, so it can help someone else. And I don't want to hold anything back in case you need to hear it all. And I remember the next morning I woke up and I told my mama, and you know, she told me, you know, you should go do it then. And I was like really excited about it. But somehow by the end of that day, I got super discouraged. I was like, it's not the right time, I'm not ready, it doesn't make sense, I'm not going to do this. And I like fully talked myself out of it. I kept thinking, yeah, this is a good idea, I have this. But then I was just like, well, I don't know, it's probably not even worth it. I'm not gonna bother with it. And I just kept doing that, back and forth, back and forth. And then I had finally decided, I was like, you know what, because of the way that I'm gonna do it, I'm not reading right now. What I'm gonna do is take the rest of the year to get myself back into reading and enjoying reading. I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna start in 2025, you know, beginning of 2025. It'll be a nice surprise, I'll show up. Yay, I made a decision and I'm gonna stick to that. I feel like God was like, no more waiting, you need to start now. I got to the point where I was just like, how can you keep asking him to give you something to do to make money, but you're not doing the things that he's already given you that could possibly make you money? You don't know because you haven't tried to do it yet, you know? I had to, you know, be serious with myself. I was like, he's not gonna keep giving you things if you aren't doing the things that he gave you already to do. I'm sorry, this video is gonna end up being longer than I thought. I had all these doubts in my head. I was just like, who's to say that it's gonna get monetized? Like, I've been on this channel for all of these years. Who's gonna, like, what about now is gonna make it any different? And I had to keep reminding myself, like, if God is telling you to do this, he's gonna make sure it works out the way that it needs to work out. I had to keep reminding myself that and let go of that fear, because that's not from him. He's trying to get you to do something. That fear is, wherever it's coming from, is trying to keep you from doing what he wants you to do. But if something doesn't work out, he'll at least know that I tried, and he'll help me with the next thing. I'm done giving myself excuses. Here's where I am. This is why I feel like now is the right time. I feel like God has been calling me to do this. He gave me the idea months ago. So yeah, I'm here and I'm trying, and we're gonna see where this goes. So with that being said, let's get into what I plan on changing as far as how I am handling this channel. An important thing I have decided is to scale back so much on a lot of the things that I had started doing. The first thing that I feel is super important to touch on is scaling back on the amount of statistics that I'm tracking, especially because I believe this is another one of those comparison things. Because I was trying to basically keep up with other people, I felt like I needed to track more than I cared about. I felt like the further I got into it, the more that I was trying to do, just because I do like being able to look back on it. But it became super time consuming, and because of the way that I was doing it, I was also overly controlling a lot of things that didn't make sense. Like, it got to the point where, I think I told you guys this before, I was tracking each reading session, mainly because I was tracking if I read like a physical book or an audio book that day, and then also was tracking or trying to track the amount of pages I was reading in a day. And because I was doing that, I felt like I could never read if I wasn't like pulling up the app and tracking it in the app so that I had all of the accurate page numbers and things. Like it became excessive. And I think part of that is also the reason why I wasn't enjoying it as much, because I was looking at the amount of time I was taking to read a book. Like, that's where that came in. Like, I was sitting there realizing like, oh, I spent this much time to only read like 15 pages if I'm reading a physical book. And then I was just like, well, I have to read more books because I don't really talk about half of the books that I read in detail, and I need to read more so I have more to talk about. And it just like a never ending cycle, and it was too much for me and really hindered my reading. I've decided because of that to like stop tracking as much. Also, with scaling back on stats, I've also decided to scale back on how I rate my books. There was a point where I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna read the book, decide if I like it or not, and that's it. I was fully ready to get rid of ratings. I still might do that. I haven't quite decided, but I have decided that as far as ratings, I'm not going to be using that call-pile system anymore. I like the idea of it, but because of the type of reader I am, I'm not like breaking down every little section of a book. I'm reading the story. Do I like the story? Yes or no? Will I read more from this author based on what I read? Yes or no? That's the type of reader I am. I might have a few things to say on it here and there, but most of the time, that's how I read the book. And then that's why I really didn't enjoy doing wrap-ups, because then I'm like, I have to come on and review the book, and all I want to tell you is I really enjoyed this book. I hated this book. I didn't really, it was okay. You know, that's all I really wanted to say. I think that's kind of why I like lean towards that call-pile system, because it gave me a way to break it down and kind of like gave me things to pull out of the story that I can talk about during a review. And I still felt like I wasn't doing a good enough job. And part of that made me realize I'm a reader, not a reviewer, which you can be both. So if that is what you want, my channel is probably not for you, because I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna gush about the books I love, probably reread the same books over and over, and that's where I am. All of that to say, I'm cutting back on stats. I did also want to say I have been using Fable. I like that with Fable, I literally just go on there at the book the day I started, the day I ended. I think the reason I decided to use that instead of anything else is because, one, I can do it all on my phone without having to look up a whole bunch of information. I really like that they like pre-do some stats for you. And I'm gonna be honest, the main reason I did it is because I like the way the stats looked once you had the books done. Before I actually get into like my content change, like what I plan on doing for this like comeback, I did want to tell you guys that since I have my entire book collection, I do plan on doing an entire unread TBR. Now, this is where I would like your guys' opinion, because just to give you a little preview, my entire book collection, which, to be fair, this actually is not my entire collection, because there were like some duplicates and like old school books and some other books that I knew that I wasn't going to be reading right now that I actually put in storage. What I have currently in my house, a total of 1,309 books. Some of those are duplicates, but I'm only counting one. I have 1,265 books, so it's a lot. Thankfully, I don't have in as many unread as I thought. So when I did the calculations, I actually already read 44% of the books. That only leaves 703 books. That is the next video I have planned on posting, like an unread TBR video. Let me know if you want an entire collection video, and then in that video I'll tell you whether or not I read the book, if I'm going through my entire collection, or if you would be okay with just the unread to be read books. With that being said, let me go ahead and get into the actual content changes. I might decide to return to posting the type of content that I was previously posting, but for the most part I am planning on switching over to short form content with a little bit of like these type of videos here and there. I don't know how often these like regular channel videos are going to be coming up because my reading is not where it was. I don't know if I ever wanted to get back to that point where I'm reading 20 plus books a month, and this is why I'm not sure how many of you guys are going to want to keep up with my channel because of the way that I'm going to be changing it. So instead, like I said, I'm planning on focusing on short form content. This is the idea that I got, that I was talking about early in the video. But my plan is, because I have so many books in my collection and I feel like I no longer reflect the things that I'm into, but I also have a very hard time just getting rid of books if I haven't even given them a chance. But I want to read through my collection so that I can start unhauling books. Essentially, my plan is to talk about a book or a series if it's multiple, depending on how the series goes, doing like a mini review, what I consider a mini review on them, and then in the video also deciding if I'm keeping it or unhauling it. I kind of want to get back into like TBR videos because I really enjoyed doing those, but also I know that now is not the right time for that. I think part of the reason why I think that this, at least starting out, is going to be a lot better and more likely for me to stick to is because I am also working on writing a book. I'm gonna do my best to make the most of this and allow God to guide me through what he wants me to do, essentially. Hopefully you guys are excited for me to be back. Hopefully you enjoy and or don't mind that I'm going to be mainly swapping over to like a different format of posting. And yeah, I miss you guys. I'm looking forward to talking about books again. I don't have anything else, so I'm gonna stop rambling and go. I hope you guys have a good day, night, week, whenever. I don't know where that ending came from, but I will see you again in the next one. Bye.